22. The 12 heavenly constellations and their effect. 1 February 1847. Among many other things you have read, you will have found in some old calendars that the so-called 12 signs of the heavens have some influence on the vegetative power of the earth. Just as it is here and there, somewhat mystically prophetically included, that such signs of the heavens, as also with them the planets, have influence on the birth of animals and humans, and that with humans, even their future is reflected in them. Nowadays, the peasants still hold it in high esteem, especially when they sow and harvest their fruits. Thus it is said, in Cancer, in Scorpio, in Libra, and in Aquarius, it is not good to sow, because the fruits are then likely to perish then sooner, before they begin to germinate, and many similar rules, from which also so many well known to you, bad weather days are derived. That such things are still present among people today, admittedly, in a very distorted form, is certainly not to be doubted. Farmers' calendars are still today weather prophets, and show every day which celestial sign influences it. And that every month in a double way. Firstly, how the moon passes through the celestial signs, and secondly, under which sign the sun is, and in which it goes. Behold, there is really something in the matter, but of course not in the very contaminated way known to you, but in such a way as was made known to you in a very graphic way in the previous communication. The moon runs through its orbit correctly within 29 days, which certainly runs in very narrow circles under the so-called 12 celestial signs. And it must happen that the moon comes to stand in this way during the course of its orbital period, quite naturally, little by little, under each of the 12 celestial signs. Exactly the same is apparently the case with the sun, although there actually only the earth is the moving body, and wanders through the 12 celestial signs. Nevertheless, it appears as if the sun moves by one celestial sign approximately monthly. Therefore also, in the calendars in each month, another celestial sign is indicated. By this moving away under these main constellations, it happens naturally that by the moon as well as by the sun, some stars of these constellations are continuously covered by these two heavenly bodies. By this covering, then naturally, for a short time, the influence which the above stars in the constellations exert on the earth body is interrupted. According to the principles mentioned earlier, a change of some kind must be felt on the earth's body, especially in those objects which, due to the influence of these stars, have some kind of similarity with these stars, because their existence requires a property feature which originates from the light of these stars. This effect, however, cannot be of any duration, because these stars are never covered by the two celestial bodies for a long time. But another situation occurs, from which, however, a very perceptible influence on the earth comes. This situation of the above-mentioned 12 constellations is that less known fluctuation both of the earth in its course around the sun, and especially the fluctuations of the moon, which hardly once in many hundred years takes again perfectly that same course, which it has already gone once before. Through these fluctuations, the zenith position of the above 12 celestial stars is changed quite naturally. And this change then lets very perceptible and sensitive changes come into effect on Earth. To these changed situations are added the constant changes of the planets in their positions, which hardly in 1,000 years come again completely into that position in which they have already once exercised their influence on the earth. In addition to these situations, which are to be particularly observed, the eruptions of the solar body are to be taken into special consideration. Through them, the light of the sun is weakened and cannot act on the earth with the same disintegrating power as when it gives its full light to the earth completely, without those eruptive blemishes. The effects, however, originating from the above-mentioned phenomena are not so much perceived in the lowest region of the air as only in the second, which, however, only begins at an altitude of sometimes 5, 6, or 7,000 feet above sea level. One will say here, this second air region should also feel those effects in itself, which appear in the lowest air region in an innumerable existence. It should be said, however, that such a statement would be even mathematically incorrect, because the rays of those extremely many very distant stars are still too little condensed at this height, therefore cannot cause there yet those propertia which they certainly cause about 1,000 fathoms lower, which can be easily deduced from the fact that from such a height at night time one cannot see stars of the 4th, 5th, and 6th magnitude with the naked eye, even less those of the 7th, 8th, and so on, while everybody with healthy eyes, especially at the sea coasts, can see stars even of the 7th and 8th magnitude with the naked eye on a clear night. Why can it not do this on a mountain 7,000 feet high, and still less on higher mountains? Because the incoming rays from these very distant stars are still too little condensed. The angle of entrance is still too acute for the eye to perceive. It also has too few light bodies to produce any effect, and the higher it rises, the more this theory will be confirmed. Therefore it happens that on such heights the vegetation decreases and in the end even ceases. One does not believe that this is only due to the sun's rays, which, of course, the higher up, the more sparse they become. The sun acts only indirectly. It supports the light coming in from the stars, and it does so with the same light that it has taken from the same stars. It is therefore only a supporter, but not a sole donor.